Hi everyone, my name is Tiffany, also known as The Perfectly Wise. I am, as an introduction, an intuitive mentor, writer, teacher, and owner of The Perfectly Wise, which is an online lifestyle, wellness, and personal coaching brand. My presentation today for the Feminine Frequency Festival, the title of it will be Your Perfectly Wise 2021, Change, Transformation, and Transcendence in the Aquarian Age. First off, I do want to thank very much here the Feminine Frequency Group, as well as Jessica for providing this opportunity, for this platform for light workers, teachers, healers, etc., to share their wisdom and share their gifts during this week, during this time. So I do want to thank you all here for that opportunity. So as I mentioned here, my presentation will be on, change, transformation, and transcendence in the Aquarian Age, reflections more specifically. And as I was tapping in here, kind of understanding here, trying to get an understanding of, okay, so when we say change, transformation, and transcendence in the Aquarian Age and reflection, like what does that mean? Like, okay, if that's kind of the great overall synopsis of the presentation, what's the meat, what's the sort of crux of it? And as I was tapping in here over the past month here, and full disclosure for myself and providing a bit of background here, so recently I actually became an expatriate of the United States. I recently actually moved to China. Right now, as of the recording here, I am in quarantine in Shanghai, China. So certainly there has been sort of within my own personal life a notion here of a big change and movement as far as physical location, as far as home. But beyond my own personal experience, I couldn't help but draw connective threads here in the experiences and the feedback that I have received, and also energetically what I have perceived here within my broader collective and within the broader collective here, as far as that very same theme here of home, of a change in home, as far as a movement of home. So, as I mentioned here in feedback, I've been getting a lot of feedback and energy here from clients, from loved ones, from friends around their intended or desired change in location and home. So I've received, countless feedback as far as folks, planning to move to a new location, their lease, whether because their lease is up or because, they had a new opportunity that popped up and they're kind of going, should I go for it? I've been getting a lot of this theme here around this notion here of home, and specifically the ways in which our location in home sets us up essentially for success as individuals in connecting here in a broader scale here within our communities, in getting us closer to our soul families, and overall making it easier and more easeful for us to do the great work, or rather our assignments here on the earth plane, so to speak, fulfilling that essential soul purpose. All of this energy here, admittedly, around home would make sense. I mean, as I mentioned here, it's the recording of this session. And full disclosure, I have this session recorded, this presentation recorded, because within this hotel, the Wi-Fi has been a little bit kind of unwieldy. So I just wanted to make sure that, rather than going live and having connective issues while live, I'll just have this recorded. But, that all aside here, we recently here have been going through a full moon in Cancer period here. And of course, in astrology here, Cancer, that sign is the sign of the moon. It rules the fourth house of home, of family, of real estate, of emotions, our emotions. So certainly energetically here, there's been a lot of this sort of overall energy here around home. This question here, you might have perceived this question has come up for yourself here as far as where do you feel at home in the location that you are, the physical location that you are in right now, also in the location in your physical body. So beyond the edifices of, the physical walls and edifices where we lay our head down to sleep, where we, cook our meals, where we feel that sense of comfort physically, also within our physical body, do you feel at home within your body? Is your body the body that is your home, that houses your soul, so to speak, is that place also, is that expression also as purified, strong, and stable in supporting yourself and supporting your work, how you essentially work and engage within community and ultimately towards your soul purpose, your life purpose. So, as I mentioned here, those were really the biggest themes here that I was getting here. Again, from a notion here where, yes, okay, we speak to change, transformation, and transcendence in the Aquarian age. And certainly this notion here within this Aquarian age with the recent conjunction with Saturn and Jupiter, both now in Aquarius, certainly a notion here as far as increased connections here with our communities, with our soul families, and showing up in a much more public and intentional way here within those groups and those groups that we consider ourselves members of and or connected to. A notion here of, well, let's make sure here in that movement forward that we make here, let's make sure here that within where we are living, the spaces that we call home, that we are essentially located, and in that location, it is optimized in supporting that very same showing up and the public face here that we put on here in being present within community and lending our gifts within community onwards, in onwards going forward. So that was really kind of the theme here that I was getting here. I've been getting this notion here for the past couple hours here as I've been tapping in here. Some of my personal mentors and teachers here in spirit. I almost kind of get the sense here they're kind of holding the line, so to speak, and they're like kind of impatient now, kind of wanting to get their message through here. So I'll go ahead and pull some cards here so that they can essentially deliver that message here. These teachers here that I'm speaking to are two of them actually. I'm getting on the line here, on the line here, so to speak. One, Father Moira, El Moira, Father Moira, Father Abraham, and two, the elders and angels of Orion. So I'm going to go ahead and pull some cards here and have them deliver that message here. As I mentioned on this theme here of home, and specifically how our homes, where we are located, how we essentially make it easier for ourselves to be present and visible within communities, how that lends processes of change, transformation, and transcendence going forward here in this Aquarian age. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull some cards now. And for anyone here who's maybe kind of curious about perhaps purchasing this deck here, this is the deck that I'm pulling from here is the Goddess Tarot deck here from Chris Waldher. So for anyone who's curious who wants to purchase this deck, that's the deck here. So all right, just go ahead and shuffle here. 33, okay. 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. You're still contemplating and your mind is still making that decision and making that choice. My intention here, you're holding a space, dear children, here from one location to the next, from one space to the next. My intention here in delivering this message for yourself, the one who speaks now is the one called Father Abraham. In delivering this message here, my intention here is to clear up whatever confusion and mental analysis paralysis that might be present here within your space, so that those decisions that you make here in your home, where you are located, how you are showing up here within community, and as expressed here within what is called your physical body, that is optimized and made perfected, so you do your best work here moving onwards. Because in so fact here, what I've delivered here and what I intend in delivering here, if you've not already perceived this notion here, is a message and an instruction here on your assignment moving forward within what is called the earth plane. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. I want to be quite clear, dear children, in delivering this message for yourselves here. I want you to be shed here of any of the conceptions that your egoic mind would have you informed in making this decision and overall in receiving this message here as it relates to your home, where you are located, and more broadly, how you are showing up here in community as it supports your life soul purpose moving onwards. Much has been revealed here and much has been orchestrated in being revealed here that the continued engagement, over-engagement of the egoic mind does not serve well and has actually served to create much loss and despair, particularly as it has been connected here in what you have believed and what you have assumed. There is much here, intentionally so, that has been shed and has been taken away in stability, in assuredness here, in how the egoic mind and how thoughts and how assumptions here has served to lead soul beings like yourself within the earth plane. That no longer serves. What I intend here and what has been orchestrated here and in how you essentially stand to move forward here. First of all, it is an emotional rewiring of the self where you are showing up here newly as a child, as a receptive child, as an open child, unfettered and unattached to previous assumptions, because in so fact, those assumptions do not serve you. They do not serve you, they do not serve your communities moving onwards. We mean for you to play here. I carry a reputation certainly as being quite straightforward and you could say quite strict. I prefer here really to speak and get right to the chase here in delivering my message and delivering my assignments. And there is a certain perfection that I expect and that I call to from my disciples, for my children, for my students to occupy and engage with. But the reality of the situation, even despite that very serious assignment, the true intelligence and the true access point of success that is present for yourself and that gets to be that gets to be offered for yourself in how you engage with your soul purpose, in how you engage with these words and these notions here of change, transformation, and transcendence, is from a place of play and is from a space of being located within mind, within body, within spirit, and yes, as my child here has mentioned here, within physical location, a space here that allows for your soul to expand, for your expression to expand, for you to feel and embody a space where you are newly receptive and newly open and engaged with all that is occurring both within you and around you. I want you to ask a question for yourself and contemplating the location that you are in right now, within your mind, within your body, within your spirit, and yes, within your home. Do these expressions, do these locations, do these points here support those expressions at this time? Do you feel that at this time? And be quite clear here in what, in tapping into here or drawing back here into an assumption here of comfort, of familiarity. That is not expansion. That is not growth. You're worth better than that. And in so fact here, within your internal soul, within your deepest expression of self, your soul is actually calling for much bigger, a much, much bigger, more expanded expression. You might have been putting this off here and suppressing this desire, putting off this desire here, papering over this desire and this call here, which really is an intelligence. It is the divine intelligence that is speaking through you. For some time here, papering over it and suppressing it here within the expression of the egoic mind that presumes to know much, but that which knows little but which in so fact knows little in so fact. It knows actually nothing at all beyond supporting the baseline comforts and provisions of your physical body and of your physical expressions. But I do not speak to, and I do not presume here to speak to supporting your physical expressions and your physical survival. What I speak here is a message of the soul and an expression here of your enlightened and enlivened internal self. It is within that internal self here, and within where intelligence, true intelligence, is formed, and where your true self resides. I have, and I will continue here, if this already resonates for yourself, and as you tap in and connect in with this message here within your own personal circumstance, should be told here, if anyone here has gone through an experience here in a move of home, of location, in a rewiring and reorientation within the physical body, the house of the soul, if there has been any confusion here as far as what the purpose of that move served, are you validated and correct in thinking about moving somewhere new, of rethinking and reorienting yourself and honoring that internal soul-based emotional calling to a new home where you can be free, where you can also receive and be more open in receiving a new found expression and experience of life? Let this message serve in validating that those expressions, those assumptions are correct and they're aligned. And I call for you, I mandate for you here an expression of seeing that through, of seeing that onwards. It is correct, it is valid. You are meant to follow through on with it. I do not intend here for my students to continue to express themselves in a way here where they are mistaking comfort and stability for complacency and stagnancy. Surely you're meant to be comfortable. Surely you're meant to be stable. But be quite clear here within your experience. And this is where here your own space of reflection, as you negotiate and think about your work onwards, as you contemplate here how you show up successfully within your communities onwards and express yourself here oriented in a space of success. Does my home, the home within my body that's expressed in the body, that's expressed within my family, that's expressed within the physical edifices and walls that I reside in, my residence, at this time onwards, in what is called here the Aquarian age, do those expressions best support and allow me from a space of ease, from a space of increased, wide open receptivity and grace, lent grace? Do those expressions best allow me to do my best work onwards, moving forward? Am I meant to move away, or am I meant to stay? And in answering that question, contemplating those expressions, I call for you, dear children, because there is much here in memories, there is much here in your past soul experiences, which will provide answers and clues for you moving onwards. And I mean for you to be open and receptive in receiving those expressions and honoring how you feel as you ask and answer those questions. This is not a time to tarry and to delay here the fulfillment of what is called here your Dharma path. Performing good work and performing your Dharma despite public opinion and despite assumption here, they can very much be two different expressions. You can live a good life and also suppress and not live to the fullest expression what is called your Dharma path. And so, as I leave you here on this day, for yourself in reflection, for yourself in contemplation, as you consider this notion of where you are, as you contemplate your assignment and the tenant, sort of the tenant point here of your assignment, of your soul purpose, are you oriented in the best place to fulfill that work? And how do you feel expressed within those locations, that location? The fulfillment of your Dharma path and of your soul purpose is in so fact meant to be easy and easeful. And I have observed for some time here that many soul beings here, especially as it's been born here in this expression of meeting the soul family, being connected within the soul family, I've perceived many soul beings, many of my students here have been finding much difficulty and struggling with bearing those connections and forming those connections. There's been a notion here, this feeling here of, I want to meet, in phrasing here, I want to meet my soul family, I want to be in community, but I don't know where to go. I feel like I'm sort of disconnected. The location that you are in the most rational ways here, in the most rational and more obvious ways here, your physical location has much to do with that in answering that question and alleviating that concern. Alleviating and filling what you might have felt here has been an internal and emotional gap. I mean for you, and we mean for you here, to make it easy, for it to be easy and more easeful, for you to be close to your soul families, to your groups, in order to fulfill your work. And just as we do our work within the nether realms here in facilitating those connections, I call for you and we call for you in orienting yourself physically and in mind, body, spirit, in location and physical location onwards, in supporting that process in kind. Yes, it may be scary. Yes, it may be uncomfortable. But you will find, as with everything, in your bravery and in your courage, much grace, much ease, much assistance in supporting that transition and that move onwards. As I mentioned before, as you get closer to your communities and fulfill what is meant here for yourself on the earth plane in the current incarnation. That is all for now. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Alrighty. Yeah, well, that's the message that I have here as far as again, this notion here of home as it relates to change, transformation, and transcendence in the Aquarian age. The message really seems quite simple, and I perceive here the message is quite simple, but really in the impact here and in the outcome here, what I'm perceiving here for whoever who will, receive this message and or resonate with the message here, if in so fact here, if you have been contemplating any questions here as far as, in your physical location, as far as maybe you've been contemplating sort of questions and notions here around real estate, investments, and where you should be located here. Perhaps you've recently moved or you're contemplating a move, whatever those experiences might be for yourself here. If you have been perceiving and tapping in here to a notion here that perhaps something needs to kind of happen as far as those expressions here in supporting your movement onwards, I hope this message here and this presentation here serves in validating that and giving you the encouragement here with Father Moira here, Father Abraham, in carrying that forth, and most importantly, recognizing and honoring how you feel and how your internal self, your true feelings and intuition and your knowing supports in orchestrating those steps and those movements onwards. And recognizing that in the ways here where you support your heart, where you honor what is expressed in the intelligence of the heart, the more ease, the more grace, and the increased level of success that you will encounter and stand to experience moving onwards. Okay? So thanks again. Thank you again to Jessica and the folks here at the Feminine Frequency for this opportunity and for this presentation. I hope it helps and resonated with everyone. And I leave you with that. So thank you so much. Appreciate it. Bye.